Hello everyone and welcome back to the Gaming Droid and welcome back to modern Skyblock 3, and today we are going to be looking at applied energistics at last. It's taken us so long to get to applied energistics, but today we are going to be doing applied energistics. In the last episode we burnt through the entire of the Flux Infused Armory, and having burnt through the entire of the Flux Infused Armory, we opened up the applied energistics tree. One of the few trees that I was willing to rush to once I got within striking distance of it. In this mod pack, I've enjoyed just going to the different quests and just doing the different quests as it's asked me to. But once I got within striking distance of applied energistics, this sorting system, which is pretty dang efficient because this is the only stuff that's been coming through that hasn't gone into being sorted, this sorting system needs to get an overhaul. So in the next stream, when I stream next, I'm going to be building a bank here, and I'm going to have a vault in the bank, which is going to be for all of our big storage, and then I'm going to have the front of the bank, and I'm going to have ATMs, and I'm going to actually have ATMs dotted around the site. So I'm going to have an ATM outside the factory, I'm going to have an ATM outside the tower block, I'm going to have ATMs down here, and our ATMs are going to be our connections into the crafting system. But to do that, in the last episode, having burnt through the entire of Flux Infused Armory, we did have a look what we needed, and one thing we needed was charged Certus Quartz, which we set up to charge in here. It is going to ask us to grow seeds, but I want to grow seeds in a growth chamber rather than in the wild, because growing seeds in the wild without any crystal enhancers takes about, I think it's 60 minutes, and with crystal enhancers you can knock it down to about 5, and we're getting back into the pneumaticraft level of throwing stuff into a pool of water and waiting for 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do instead is, once we get into here, we're going to make a different power system. So we're going to make an energy acceptor, and we're going to make some glass cable, and we're also going to go into faster crystal growth, and then we're going to go into a crystal growth chamber after that. So the first thing we need to do is start grinding down some nether quartz. Let us have a look at an energy acceptor. This guy. So the energy acceptor requires quartz glass. Quartz glass is ground up nether quartz and glass. Okay, so we need to grind up some extra nether quartz. And there we go. We've ground up some nether quartz. Pulverizer is pretty dang fast, just thanks to the sheer amount of time we've spent with it. We also need to grind up some fluix crystals at some point. Just thanks to the sheer amount of time we spent getting stuff from our mob farm. So we've got an incredible impossible capacitor on that, which means it's going to be pretty efficient. So we need a basic energy cell, and then we need to make some applied energistics. Let's do applied energistics. There we go. That will make it easier to find what we want to find, because we're all going to want things from applied energistics today. So we need to make basic ME cable, which means we need quartz infused cable. And then we need to put that with some fluix crystals, and that gets us that. That gets us a different energy source. The energy acceptor will accept pretty much any kind of power and turn it into ME power. The charger is something that charges up Certus Quartz. We can do that in the energetic infuser, so it's not that important. And now it wants us to make crystals, but let's make ourselves some crystal growth chambers first. So, crystal growth accelerators require these guys. We want 6 crystal growth accelerators. 6. And we can just make these once we make some more glass. There we go. And if we look up uses on these, we just need a chest and a hopper, which we can get from our basics. Acceleration is an understatement, yes. Like, I don't want to sit around for an hour, but I certainly don't want to sit around for 5 minutes either. So we're going to make ourselves a... Just check to make sure that's detected. It has a crystal growth chamber, which it actually wants us to make, which is good. So that should be running now. Yeah, this guy's getting power. Excellent. So now what we need is we need a bit of sand, because what we're going to do is we're going to rig up 32 seeds for the fluix crystals. Is that not how we make seeds anymore? We need to use powderized. Do we need to use powderized for everything? Yeah, we need to use powderized for everything. That's fine. So we can throw in 32 of these. So now what we can do is we can set it up with 32 or 64 seeds, because each 32 gets us, or each dust gets us 2 seeds. And this is basically how we replicate. This is how we replicate the crystals, because each thing gets us. Yeah, each dust which we get from one crystal gets us 2, and each 2 turns into crystal. Now they turn into pure crystals, so you can't then turn them into blocks and back again. And these things in here, you can see they're growing in less than a minute. And there we go, they're all grown. And that completes the pure crystals. Wires instead of cables allows you to use flux wires, dense flux wires, and quartz fiber wires to make the connection rather than cables. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably going to use the conduit version, because you can create ME conduits. So if you look up, we can create ME conduits, which are created very, very simply. We get 8 in exchange for 2 instead of 4. And we don't really need to use the hanging wires. I don't like the hanging wires because they can't pass through blocks. With the conduits, we'll just basically run them along the same block as these, because you can put 2 conduits in one space. So we'll run conduits along those blocks instead. I think that will be in my opinion, a much better way of doing it. So it now wants us to make the presses. So we need we need iron. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this should be pretty simple. We're just going to turn off you, and then we want 1 of you and 1 of you. 1 of you and 1 of you. 1 of you and 1 of you. And then we need a diamond for the last one. And these are going to make our processors. And the processors are the core of the ME system. So the processors allow you to make pretty much everything in the ME system. These guys. Once we get into making these guys, we'll have to get into making those guys. And once we've gotten into making them, that's when everything kind of opens up for us. And then we want a basic inscriber, which means we need 2 sticky pistons, which means we need 2 pistons, which means we need cobblestone. Of course. Down the crafting rabbit hole we go. And then we need to make 2 sticky pistons. Got plenty of slime, so that's not particularly difficult. And then we need some more iron, of course. And you can see why I want to actually make this system, because we're perpetually needing to make things. So now I need to set this up in a very specific way. I want the power going in the front. So I need to set, or going in, I think it's either the front or the back. Like that, yeah, power going in the back. And the reason I want the power going in the back is we can now, like lots of people think you need to use the advanced inscriber if you want to automate this. Now the advanced inscriber does make automation very easy and convenient, but you don't need to use the advanced inscriber to automate this. What we do need to do, however, is do something like this. So we're going to disable you and disable you. And we're going to rig you up like so. So what we want is we want this guy set to extract on, say, lime. You're going to insert on green. You're going to insert on brown. And you are going to insert on blue. There we go. Now we just need, we'll use some crates, because they're small and easy and convenient. And we're just going to set the crates up here. So we've got green at the bottom, brown on the side, blue on the top. So you are going to extract on brown. you're going to extract on blue, and you're going to extract on green. So we go bottom, no. I want you, that's right, I want you to extract on brown, and you to extract on blue. So we go bottom, middle, top. Okay, and then you are going to insert on green because that's on lime because that's our extraction color. There we go. So now what we have to do is we have to make things. So first off, we're going to put our silicon press in, and then we're going to put in some silicon. And we want to put the silicon in the top. The top is blue. This is the top one. So we put that in there. And what should happen is, if we set the extraction here to always active, these guys get extracted, put into here. That's blue. I don't want blue. I want the middle one, brown. There we go. So these guys get extracted, get put into here, get pulled out. We can then automate this to do the same with gold. So we just switch out the presses for the gold presses. We switch out the presses for the Certus quartz presses. We switch out the presses for the diamond presses, and we can automate this very, very easily. And then when we want to make particular actual processors, say we want to make a calculation processor, we would put silicon in this one, redstone in this one, and Certus quartz processors, calculation circuits in this one, and it would put the calculation circuit in the top, the silicon circuit in the bottom, and the redstone in the middle, and then it would pump out the result at the end. So now we're processing silicon and Certus quartz simultaneously, and that should end up in our output crate. Yep. So what we have to do now is we just have to process through a bunch of processor making. So while those are processing, let's see if there's anything else we can do. We could do the wires, I suppose. So let's have a look at what it costs to make the Fluix wires and things, just to get them out of the way. I'm never going to use them, but let's just do it to get it out of the way. So we need aluminium wire, red sticks, and then we make dense cabling. What else do we need? We need quartz fiber cable. And we need these guys, which needs skystone blocks. Where do we get skystone from? Combustion chamber, alchemical coal, and obsidian. Okay. One of the advantages of just setting up automated machines that do things for you is you don't really have to worry about how fast they are. It's like setting up a mob farm. Once you have a decent mob farm set up, it doesn't matter really how fast the mob farm is functioning. As long as the mob farm is functioning, you're doing other things, so it doesn't really matter. He doesn't quite do 2,200 heat units. So actually what we need to do is we need to make ourselves a better casing for our combustion chamber. It's been a long time since we've had to change the casing on our combustion chamber, so let's have a look at the casings. Endurium is maximum 3000 with 600 efficiency. That's probably going to be our best. This guy has more efficiency. He does have enough heat units to do that. So the ones we're looking at are, we're looking at osmium, endurium, manulin, netherbrick. So osmium, endurium, and mandolin, or refined obsidian. Ooh, I can actually make refined obsidian. I need osmium and refined obsidian dust, which is made in the metallurgic infuser with obsidian dust and crushed diamond. Okay, so looks like we're going to be making making some bits and pieces. So can we turn you into no, we can turn you into diamond. Do we have to just cycle normal diamonds into diamond plate? Yeah, we just cycle normal diamonds into diamond plate. Okay. We might even have some diamond plates. So, there we go. We got out our osmium compressor. We refined up some obsidian by putting diamonds through the enriching factory and putting them into the advanced infusing factory with pulverized obsidian, which we had from the previous element. previous part of the quest. And now we are making up some refined obsidian, although you are currently out of power. Why are you currently out of power? You are currently robbing 2 kilowatts from the whole thing, so we're going to turn you off for a bit. Why are you not getting power? Okay, for some reason just moving it to another point on the cable. For some reason having it on that point on the cable just stopped it working, which was slightly weird. So what do we need for our obsidian casing? For our obsidian casing we need 8 plus another 4. So we need 12. That's fine. So the way we have this set up, it shouldn't break anything if we just remove you. And we should just be able to pop you. And that should heat up to the point we need it to. Then we need to make 1, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 of you. There we go. We now have high enough temperature. That gives us skystone. And then if we filter the skystone, like so, we can then just throw in all of this and all this. And that gives us 14 skystone. We're going to need a bit more alchemical coal, I think. But 14 skystone is a nice start. The uses of skystone, very, very limited when we start with, but we do... Basically, we have to smelt it up to get it to be useful. Now, I've never really used these immersive engineering connectors for ME. I'm not going to use them today just because I just want to run stuff through my walls. I don't want to have stuff hanging around, like hanging from place to place and like filling up the air in the sort of place I'm working in. So I'm going to be using conduits because we can tuck conduits away inside the walls. Because this is modern Skyblock. If you're in the modern world, you don't have blinking wires hanging around inside buildings going from place to place in the building. All the wires in the building go from wall to wall. They go through the walls. Now, admittedly, you would have wires hanging around like from here to here and things like that. We might add those as decoration later. But, yeah, we don't need the wires hanging around inside buildings. So let's have a look how our processors are doing. So we've gotten our 63 of those. So if we pop you out, we need the engineering one. And we'll give you 62 diamonds, and you can process the diamonds. How are you processing silicon? We're up to quite a few silicon presses. That's good. So we can start a little bit of preparation. Preparation-wise, we're going to need the storage cells. We're going to need controllers. We're going to need things like that. So we're almost done with those. Once we get done with those, we can set one to make the gold plates, and we can set the other one to make some engineering presses. Yeah, that's frustrating to say the least. But yeah, we will need an ME controller. So we'll need to make an ME controller, unfortunately, because we don't have one. And the ME controller is pretty simple. We need some more skystone blocks. No, we've got enough skystone blocks. We're not going to need an ME chest. We won't need a cell workbench at the moment. We'll probably want to get into wireless reasonably quickly. You know what? While we are waiting for this to finish up, let's throw some of these things that we don't need in here. We can throw you in there for now. We can put away the gunpowder because we don't need the gunpowder. And we can make ourselves an obsidian... or we can look at making ourselves an obsidian chest, an obsidian great chest, just to finish off that quest. Is that not what it is? Obsidian colossal chest walls. Oh, it's around diamond. Oh, that makes it posh. Okay, that's fine. We have 200 diamond blocks, so I think we can manage that. Again, 200 diamond blocks we have only because we... Oh, it's the colossal chest wall made from diamond. The 200 diamond blocks chest... The 200 diamond blocks we have, we only have because we set up a automated diamond smashing system using the embers to get the diamonds out of all the things we needed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 26, that's what we need to start. We can put all the others away. Diamonds go away, and you go away. And then we can make obsidian chest walls. 26. And then we need a core and an exchanger. So one of you, and one of you. And that gives us the obsidian colossal chest, and then we can pop open the colossal chest, grab the upgrader, and upgrade the colossal chest. Having an obsidian colossal chest is actually going to be moderately useful later on. So this now we swap you out for a logic press. We can put the spare presses in here. You're very, very nearly done, and then we can actually automate the production of pretty much actually all of them. Because we've got these guys. We're going to need a little bit more redstone once we're finished. That's fine. We've still got plenty of redstone. And so once this is finished, what we're going to do is we're going to throw redstone in here. We're going to throw the silicon presses in here, and then we're going to throw all of the circuit boards in here, including all the logic ones. And literally, it doesn't matter which we throw in where. We won't need anything because the presses, we won't need to worry about it because the presses will already have processed everything. So 9 more left on that, and this guy is happily churning through the logic processors. I will see you guys when that is finished. Okay, so there we go. That's got all of our silicon processed through. So now we want the silicon plates to go in the bottom, which is dark blue. No, which is green. So green is on this side. So this is the bottom. So silicon plates go in the bottom. Redstone goes in the center. And our circuit boards go in the top. And then it will just literally start churning out processors for us. And it will do so 100% automatically until the processor boards or the redstone or the silicon boards run out. So it'll be processing all 3 of them until one of them runs out. So 2 engineering presses allow us to make the advanced inscriber. But we still need to make... Actually, we need 1 of each processor. So what we can do is we can just go you. And then... once we see one get eaten, you. And this will give us the processors. And then this one should be a logic one. And that'll last to complete the quest. And that opens up Advanced Inscriber. So let's have a look at the Advanced Inscriber. Not difficult at all. Grab a little bit more cobble and we can make the piston, and then we can use slime to make the sticky pistons. Everything else is just iron and fluix, which we've got plenty of. We can grab two hoppers from in here because we might as well use up the hoppers we have. And that gives us the Advanced Inscriber. Now, I'm not really sure how automatic the Advanced Inscriber actually is. Let's grab 16 of you and 16 of you and 16 of you, and let's see how fast this guy is. Okay, so he's a little bit faster. He's a little bit faster. But on the other side of things, like, these guys are just, like, fine, it's a little bit of a tangle of pipes, but they're not hard to set up and you can set them up immediately. I don't really see any problems with just using these guys, these guys in this sort of setup to get your processors, because it's not like it's like 3 or 4 times as fast. It's maybe 50% faster, and it can take stacks, but even then, it can take a stack without you adding pipes to automate it. So if you can add pipes to automate these guys, why not just automate these guys and not add pipes to automate this guy? I don't know. It's just the way I look at it, but that's me. So we need to make an ME controller. That's not going to be a problem now. That's the Futura block controller. There we go. There's an ME controller for now. The controller is the heart of your ME system. Each one its sides gives 32 channels if the channels are enabled. They can be arranged in a shapeless multi-block where one must not touch more than 3. ME chest, ME drive. So it wants us to make an ME chest. Okay. And there's the drive bay. So now the way the system sets up, and the reason I was looking for my ME controllers, is we can break the power acceptor, we can replace it with an ME controller. And once the ME controller is powered, if we attach a drive bay to it, any drives we put in this will allow us to store items. So we can now store items in these drive bays. The other thing you can do is store items on drives, put them in chests, and once you open a chest with a drive in it, it will show you what's in the drive. So that's a very, very sort of basic ME system or AE system that you don't actually need the drive bay or the ME controller for. You just need to power that guy and you can use the drive bays. Now this guy's probably going to go inside our bank. This is probably going to be at the core of our vault, surrounded by the storage drawers. Dense energy cells for storing, safer drives for blast resistant drive. So we'll make another drive bay and we'll make it blast resistant. I don't really care about the blast resistant drives unless they've changed them in 1.12 from 1.7. Let's have a look. Do I still only get 4 slots? I only get 3 slots. Okay, so these guys are completely immune to explosions, but you only get 3 slots in them. So they kind of make good storage in some ways, because it means you don't have to worry about your storage exploding. But then on the other side of it, if you're worried about your storage exploding, do you really want to be using a storage that can, or a storage where it's going to be storing hundreds of thousands of items? So it wants us to make a dense energy cell. That means we need to make 8 of these. What are we missing? We're probably missing the Fluix powder. And then we need to make a dense energy cell, which is just 8 of these around a power cell. Sorry, around a processor. And there we go. That's our dense energy cell. That can store up to a 1.6 million AE energy units. It's much more important just to have a reliable source of energy. P2P point tunnels allow you to transfer channels from one place to another without having to use multiple dense cables. The cables on which they are still, however, need power, which can transfer to it via a quartz fiber. So that's kind of like range transmission of the different channels. ME drive fixture and ME cell fixture. Instead of having them as full blocks, you can turn drives and storage cells into fixtures that can have a bit more than half the storage space, but can share a block with cables and terminals. Okay, not really interested in halving the ones that I've made already. We'll look at that in the future. Accessing the network. ME terminal, crafting terminal, fluid terminal, gas terminal. So we need to look up terminals. So the ME terminal, the basic ME terminal, interface terminal, just allows you to look at your... the ME terminal just allows you to look at what you've got in your ME system. The crafting terminal allows you to look at what you've got in your ME system and do crafts. So we don't have to make one of each. We can just make one and then convert it into the other. So that allows you to look at what's in your ME system and do crafting. The fluid terminal and the gas terminal, as you might imagine, allow you to look at fluids and gases that you've got in your system. And this one requires blue pigment, which is fine, that's just lapis, and this one requires yellow pigment. Okay. Teleport sword. Yep. Thanks to the bees, we have plenty of yellow pigment. And we can just swap that over to a gas terminal and make a gas terminal. So the way the terminals work is the terminals aren't blocks. The terminals are terminals, interfaces. So what we can do is we can attach them to the ME cable. And that allows us to, in essence, kind of hide them. Just tuck them away. They're going to be going inside machines, inside kind of little multi-chip blocks, that chisel and bits blocks. Now, you can use the ME system to continuously export, import items, fluids, gases from machines. So this is the in and out. So the ME conversion monitor, I have no idea what that is. The ME export bus takes items out of the system. ME import bus pulls items into the system. The ME OR dictionary export bus exports items and just ignores the OR dictionary. So it's basically OR dictionary data mining. The fluid buses are pretty standard, the gas buses. The one thing we're looking for very much though, which it should ask us to make soon, is a storage bus. I'm not sure it's actually going to ask us to make a storage bus. So export bus, pretty simple. A piston and a cable, or piston and a core. So there's the export bus. Again, attaches to cables. Sticky piston for the import bus, as you might imagine. Oh, and a different core as well. So we need the destruction core for that one, or the annihilation core. Then we've got the storage bus. This is the one I want, is the storage bus, which requires an interface, and it requires a piston and a sticky piston. And the reason I want the storage bus is going to be the thing that allows us a lot more flexibility when it comes to storage. The storage bus, of which we're going to want more than one really. We're going to want quite a few actually. The storage bus allows us to connect other kinds of storage to our ME network. So it will allow us to attach the colossal chest and the storage drawers and things like this to the ME system. So the ME storage buses will allow us to attach storage to our ME system. So if, for example, this thing has a storage crate keeper on it, so I can break it and it won't drop everything. If we move this guy over and we plonk him next to our cables and we give him a storage bus, like so, we can mess with the storage bus. So we can tell the storage bus, just like with the conduits, we can tell the storage bus filter things, partition things. So the partition is basically the filter. Priority settings, so we can make it high priority or low priority. Input-output mode bidirectional, so we can have it only pull things out, only put things in, or do both ways. And report any inaccessible items. Items that cannot be extracted will be visible. So the next thing we want to do is take our crafting terminal and whack it on the cable as well. And now, if we have a look at our crafting terminal, all of the items that are in that chest are available. Sort by number of items. So we can see that we've got 54 cobalt ingots, 141 stone. So we can see everything we've got in this chest. So let's have a look at one of the ones at the bottom. An Invar ingot. We've got one of the factory tech Invar ingots. That is, if I take that out of there and have a look, it has vanished. And if I put it back in, it reappears, and it should reappear in here in the first available slot, which was the same slot. So that's how that works with the storage buses. It works with storage drawers, colossal chests, crates, basically anything that has an internal inventory. So it also wants us to make the OR dictionary storage bus, or OR dictionary export bus, which require what? It requires 2 fuzzy cards and 3 acceleration cards. Okay. So that requires a lot. So let's put aside these guys for a while. Let's have a look at making some storage cells. These should be reasonably easy to make. So there we go, we've got a bunch of those cells. And each of those cells can make us one of the 1K storage drives. And this is what a lot of this is going to be now. It's going to be creating cells from this just over and over again. So now we can make ourselves a 1K storage drive. And the 1K storage drive allows us to to store up to 1024 items and up to 63 types. And that's the main thing, is it's the type difference. So this can store 1024 items, it can store 63 types. So it's not actually as efficient with the amount of items it can store as a storage drawer, but it can store 63 different types of items. So it can store twice as many types of items as a chest. So it's basically the equivalent of a double chest to a large extent. And then we can start making bigger and badder storage drives. So the 4K one allows us to store 4096 items, but again, it only allows 63 types, and this is the limitation. So if we go up to the really big ones, the 64K drive allows us to store 65,000 items, but only 63 types. So it's very, very good for storing lots and lots of each item. It can store, 1,000 of each item without running out of space. And to get them, we need the bigger storage drives, which just needs the smaller storage ones, smaller storage cells, with another processor and some more redstone. There we go, and then we can make a 4K one. Put these drives in here temporarily, and that completes 4K. Then it wants us to do 16K, which means we need to make some more drives, because if we look up uses of this to get us 16K, actually no, we can make one 16K, we just need a little bit more glowstone. And there we go, now we can make a 16K drive because we have the glowstone, which we can put away in there. And we can use this to make a 16K drive if we use the correct recipe. No, I want a 16K drive. There we go, that's the recipe I wanted. And so this is the new storage system. And for it, we're going to need a lot of processors, specifically a lot of gold processors, because you can see that each one of these things, each one of the base level of this requires a gold processor, a logic processor. And each logic processor basically is 1K. So if you want to get to 64K, you need 64 logic processors. As to the fluid and the gas storage cells, painting the network. With a matter condenser, you can compress different items and or fluids into a matte ball, and you can then use the matte balls for painting your network. Okay, weird. The security private network isn't important because we're not playing on a server. Portable digital storage, the portable cell storage allows us to access cells that we keep in our inventory. So if I was carrying this guy around with me, I could access him from my inventory. Less important than getting the going wireless, which does require a private network. Going wireless allows us to make a wireless transmitter, and with the Infinity cards that we've been getting from the mob farm, we can use the wireless transmitter to speaking of which, we should be getting wireless cards somewhere. Where are the wireless cards? We can use the wireless transmitter to transmit across dimensions as well. So we can basically, as soon as we get to a wireless transmitter, we can use our AE system across dimensions. So it wants us to make a security terminal first, which requires the ME chest we just made. So there's our ME chest. And it also requires us to make a better storage component. So what I will do is I'll probably get the wireless emitter up and running. Let's have a look what we need for a wireless. We need a ME wireless access point, which requires a Fluix pearl, which we can make. That's not too bad. Oh, the search function. Oh, the search function is back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a search function. So there's the wireless access point. So if we whop a wireless access point on here, we can then give it an Infinity booster card, and we can see how much power the Infinity booster card requires. Because you can give it range boosters, because at the moment it has rather a pathetic range. You can give it range boosters, which do increase its range a little bit, but the Infinity booster cards we're getting from the mob farm place up to 2.14 billion of these into the Infinity booster card slot. Oh, where's the Infinity Booster card slot? Of a wireless crafting terminal. Ah, I see. So it actually goes into the wireless crafting terminal, not into that guy. But that gives us the basic wireless. So then let's have a look at the security. And there we go. There's our wireless terminal. Oh, that's not the wireless crafting terminal it wanted us to make. Ah, which did need a wireless terminal anyway. So what is the point of the wireless item terminal? Now that you have a security terminal, you can add a wireless access point to your ME system, crafting a wireless crafting terminal crafter that, together with the regular fluid or gas terminal, to turn it into a universal wireless terminal and put it on top right slot security to link to your ME system. Now switch between modes with shift. Ah, I see. So by basically making one of these guys into one of these, we can then shift it between fluid, and item. So we can need to link this to here. So, and then we need to give him some power. Let's throw you in the energetic infuser. Just give him a little bit of power to start with. So you allow us to access all of our items and access all of our fluid terminals, but doesn't give us a crafting bench. So it doesn't give us access to a crafting bench even though we used a crafting one. It just gives us access to the two types, fluid and item. Okay. So I then need to make another crafting terminal to... don't like the fact that it does that. That we now have to make another crafting terminal. Can I put you there? No, I can't. So actually, like, this wireless universal terminal has cost me a dense energy storage. And I didn't really need to use that dense energy storage. Okay, so I'll be back once I have enough of these guys cooked up. And again, we'll just get it up to 1%. So let's have a look at the difference once we get into range. This guy allows us to look at items and fluids. This guy allows us to... oh no, error communication. I need to lock it into... yeah, there we go. This guy allows us to look at fluids, allows us to look at items. I don't know if it allows us to look at fluids. No, it doesn't allow us to look at fluids. So that's the difference. This doesn't allow us to look at fluids. But if we add an Infinity Booster card to it, Infinity Energy 100. So I'm assuming it uses up Infinity Energy to communicate with things. 5,000 Infinity. So if I do this, I'm too far away. So I assume basically what it does is it uses the Infinity Energy to communicate long distance. So that's fine. We actually have something that will be useful. We do have a flux capacitor which we can charge up as well, which will allow us to store an extra 25 million RF in our bag, just in case we need to top this guy off, because I think this guy can just take RF straight out of a flux infused capacitor. Don't know why we have popped chorus fruit on us. Oh, because I took it out. Put all this stuff away for now. Dense energy cell can go back down here because I made a spare one. And now we have to think about, like, I mean, just look at this place at the moment. This place is an abject mess. But now we have to think about charging up and changing up and chopping up. So now we have access to ME. It's going to be a lot of processor making. A lot of redstone making. We're going to have to make a lot of redstone. But one thing I'm also going to want to do is attach our storage drawers to the system. Because once we attach our storage drawers to the system, we'll be able to make redstone from witches' hats directly. Because we've still got 62 witches' hats in there. And in here we've got... if I scroll down to the bottom and then scroll up... 172 witches' hats in there. So we've got another 172 witches' hats, and each 3 is 6 of a dust of my choice. We can also use our combustion chamber to make redstone. So we've got a lot of things that we need to do to make the items we want. So what I will do now is I think I will call the episode here. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. While I'm away, I'm going to be crafting up storage drives, I'm going to be getting everything ready, and I'm going to be thinking about how I'm going to place things. I basically want to build a bank here on the road. So I'm going to extend this out this way. I'm going to get this ready to build a bank, and we're going to build a bank. I'm not really sure what the bank's going to look like yet, but it's going to have a vault in which we're going to put a lot of our storage, probably an underground vault, so the storage will probably just be moved like to here. In fact, the underground vault might extend out this way anyway, but we're going to move the storage perhaps down to here. We'll have a vault, we'll have an entry area, and we'll have ATMs, and the ATMs will basically be chisels and bits combined with an ME cable and a ME crafting terminal, so that we have little ATMs dotted about around the world. This thing's going to get dismantled, but we're definitely going to be making a lot more processors in the meantime. So thank you all for watching. I have been the Gaming Droid. This has been Modern Skyblock 3, and we now have digital storage. Bye-zy-bye, everybody.